All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into one of Shakespeare's most brilliant and, let's be honest, tricky romantic comedies, Much Ado About Nothing.
So let's start with a big question, right? Can a lie actually create true love? It sounds crazy, but this very question is the engine that drives this entire play. Shakespeare just masterfully explores how deception, for better or for worse, can be the thing that both forges and completely shatters our deepest connections. And what makes this story so incredibly clever is its structure. I mean, it's basically built on two totally opposite deceptions happening at the same time. You've got a good trick, one designed to bring two people together, and then you have this vicious, nasty lie meant to tear a relationship apart. We get to watch these two schemes unfold side by side, and it's this constant pull between comedy and, well, near tragedy. Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in sunny Messina, in Sicily. The war is over, the soldiers are coming home, and everyone is ready for a bit of partying, a bit of romance, and of course, a whole lot of intrigue. It all kicks off when the governor, a guy named Leonardo, welcomes them into his home, and believe me, that's where all the drama starts. Now, the story really zooms in on two couples, and they could not be more different. First, you have your classic love-at-first-sight pair, the sweet, innocent hero and this earnest young soldier, Claudio. They're the picture of traditional romance. And then you have their polar opposites. You've got Benedick, this proud, cynical guy who swears he'll never get married, and Beatrice, who is just as fiery and sharp-tongued. And when I say Beatrice and Benedick are sharp-tongued, I mean it. They're famous for their merry war. It's this non-stop back-and-forth battle of wits and insults. But really, it's their own weird, combative way of flirting, even if neither of them would ever admit that out loud. This quote, it just perfectly captures their dynamic. The second Benedick shows up, before he can even get comfortable, Beatrice hits him with this zinger. It's basically saying, "Why are you still talking? No one's listening to you." Ouch. It just shows you how ready she is for a fight and how constant this rivalry is. So as you can imagine, as soon as love enters the picture in Messina, the plotting and scheming isn't far behind. You've got this big, festive party atmosphere, which, it turns out, is the perfect cover for all kinds of deception. Some of it good, and some of it, well, not so good. And right away, two different plots start to take shape. On the good side, you have the noble prince, Don Pedro, who comes up with this plan to help his friend Claudio win over Hero. Super nice of him. But then there's the villain of the story, Don John, the prince's bitter brother. He overhears the plan and immediately decides he's going to ruin everything. Don John doesn't waste any time. At a masked ball, he makes his first move. He finds Claudio and, pretending he thinks he's someone else, whispers this absolute poison in his ear. He says, "Hey, you know the prince? He's not wooing Hero for you. He wants her for himself." And boom, it works. Just like that, Claudio completely falls for it and gets all gloomy saying this line. And what it shows us right off the bat is a huge flaw in his character. This guy is way too quick to believe the worst, even about his best friends. He hears one bad thing and immediately jumps to betrayal. Okay, so that little misunderstanding with Claudio gets cleared up, and he and Hero are happily engaged. So what do the prince and his friends do? They decide to aim for a much harder target, getting the two people who claim to hate love, Benedick and Beatrice, to fall for each other. Their plan is so simple, it's brilliant. They know Benedick is hiding in the garden, so they start having this really loud conversation for him to overhear. And what are they talking about? Oh, just how Beatrice is secretly, madly, passionately in love with him. It's the perfect bait for a guy with an ego like his. And would you believe it? It works perfectly. This is the guy who just a few minutes earlier was making fun of his friend for falling in love. And now? He does a complete 180. The idea that this amazing, witty woman could be in love with him? Well, that's all it takes. He's all in. So, what do they do next? They basically rinse and repeat. It's Beatrice's turn. Hero and her friends set up the exact same trick in the garden, talking all about how poor Benedick is just dying of love for her. And just like him, she falls for it. Hook, line, and sinker. She decides to drop her pride and love him back. Okay, but while all this fun, lighthearted trickery is going on, we have to remember Don John's much darker plot is still in motion. And his goal isn't just a little bit of trouble. No, he's aiming to cause the most damage possible. He wants to ruin lives. And his plan is just cruel. It's so calculated. He gets one of his guys to stage a scene at Hero's bedroom window with her maid, Margaret, who he makes sure is dressed up like Hero. Then he brings Claudio and Dom Pedro to watch from a distance so they, quote, see with their own eyes Hero being unfaithful the night before her wedding. So Claudio, completely convinced by this lie, decides to wait. He waits for the absolute worst, most public, most humiliating moment possible. Right there, at the altar, in front of literally everyone, he just lets loose and publicly shames and rejects Hero. And the words he uses, they are just brutal. He calls her a rotten orange. Think about that. Something that looks beautiful and perfect on the outside, but is just spoiled and corrupt on the inside. It's so shocking, so vicious, that Hero literally collapses, appearing to be dead from the pure shock of it all. And right there, in that moment, it really looks like the villain has won. Game over. Don John's lie has worked perfectly, and it seems like an innocent woman's life has been completely, totally destroyed. But, the truth has a funny way of coming out, often from the last place you'd ever expect. Just when everything seems completely hopeless, a resolution comes from a very, very unlikely group of heroes.
And who is this unlikely hero? It's the town constable, Dogberry. And this guy? Oh, he's something else. He's a master of the malapropism. That's when you use the wrong word that sounds kind of like the right one, and it's usually hilarious. Honestly, he's so incompetent he almost stops himself from solving the crime.
But somehow, despite Dogberry's best efforts to mess things up, his clumsy watchmen accidentally overhear one of the villains bragging about how he got paid to trick the prince. They actually manage to arrest him, and before you know it, the whole disgusting story comes out. And just like that, Hero is proven innocent.
So to fix all this, they come up with one last trick, a good one this time. First, Claudio, who is just drowning in guilt, has to publicly mourn at Hero's tomb. Then, to make things right, he agrees to marry her cousin without even seeing her. But, surprise, at the altar, the veil's bride lifts her veil and it's Hero alive and well. And amidst all this joy, Beatrice and Benedick finally stop fighting and agree to get married too. A double wedding. So what are we left with at the end of all this? It's a story that absolutely celebrates love winning in the end. But it's also a pretty powerful warning, isn't it? It shows us just how fragile trust really is. A well-intentioned lie can get love started, but a hateful one can destroy it in a heartbeat. It really makes you think about how powerful our words are and how easily they can be used as weapons.